as passed by the legislature. The whole point of it is to create these. I'm going to call them arbitrary deadlines to force us to do it in not necessarily the way that we want to do it or on the time frame that we want to do it. But the state created this program that takes it specifically out of our control because their fear, the state's fear, is that if we do this, these affordable housing programs or agreements on our timeline, they will never get done. And so the whole point is to take it out to create this program that makes the courts the bad guy. They create these arbitrary deadlines that make the court the bad guys, and it's that way. We don't, in theory, we don't have to be. It is intentional, not by us, but by the entire design of this program by the legislature. It is not fair. It is not our fault, and it's our fault. I mean, the mayor and council. It is not your fault, Mike Ash or my fault that we were doing this or under this time frame, because that's just that is intentionally the way this whole thing is set up. I know of at least half a dozen other municipalities that I personally talked to their lawyers in the last day or so, where they are doing the exact same thing, either tonight or tomorrow night, Christmas Eve, or later this week on Friday. They're holding their special meetings just like we're doing right now to try to approve these settlement agreements with either Fair Share or whoever else is objecting to them. If you want to blame someone over this, I would suggest looking to the legislature, looking to state they're the ones that came up with this, and we just all have to live with it, unfortunately. I also know that there is a lot of frustration about how much of this has taken place behind closed doors. I know at the last meeting, obviously, I was not there for it. I was in the middle of a trial. But I know there's a lot of frustration at the fact that the council has had to do a lot of this in closed session without the public being present. Again, it is not, none of us are happy with that. None of us want to be doing it that way. We all want to be as transparent and open with the public as we can. But at the end of the day, Teaneck is being sued by Fair Share, by the developers, and as with any litigation, for us to have attorney, for Mike Ash and myself to have attorney-client privilege and to be able to properly advise the council, we have to do those some of these meetings behind closed doors. Otherwise, literally would be giving away the playbook of what our plans or strategies of what we're trying to do to the exact people who are trying to sue us, or not trying to, who are suing us. And so that's why we've done so much of this in closed session. Again, it's not, we don't want to be doing it that way. No, everyone here, I know everyone on the council supports transparency. We want to be doing it in public, but there are limitations because of the nature. Again, it's the setup of the program. They set it up so that way all these people are suing us. So now we don't have a choice but to discuss, as with any litigation, in closed session. So that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mike, who has been working to try and come up with the settlement agreement, or settlement agreements, I should say, who's going to walk us through some of the specifics of what's in there.
Yes, thank you. And just to add to what you said with that intro, every municipality, with some limited exceptions, were qualified to participate in this program. This program, under the amended Fair Housing Act, was voluntary by all municipalities. Municipalities had to opt in. The alternative of not opting in was losing immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits, which would be extended through December 31st of this year. So towns had to be forward-looking over a year ago, decide they were going to opt into this process. Teaneck did opt into this process by adopting a resolution back in January and then filing a declaratory judgment action in Bergen County Superior Court under docket number 776-25. Teaneck, like other municipalities, followed best practices of the law and planning to opt into this process, because again, the alternative is loss of immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits. The loss of immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits means a judge will decide when a developer asks where a project should go and what the zoning should be, with the sole priority being the creation of affordable housing units, not what is an appropriate height, not what is an appropriate density, no other control on the zoning other than a judge deciding that affordable units should go where a developer says they should go. That's what the loss of immunity from builder's remedy lawsuits brings. It brings a loss of zoning control of home rule zoning by municipalities. And there have been municipalities throughout the state that have lost that immunity and are being sued, have been sued by developers for projects that don't fit in the context of zoning or the neighborhood or communities. And those municipalities who lose those lawsuits also get the privilege of paying for all the costs and fees associated with that litigation. So there have been a number of significant hoops for Teaneck and other municipalities to jump through in order to comply with this fourth round obligation. Scott and I and our planner topology with Golda and Graham have provided an outline of this process in public session, in closed session, starting in January of this year, and have educated and updated each step of the way in order to get us to substantial compliance with our approved plan and settlement with Fair Share and the other intervener defendant property owners who provide an actual realistic development potential to build the affordable units that are required in Teaneck under this program. Since we filed that housing plan in June, that incorporated a number of project sites from property owners and developers who came to Teaneck under this process and said, I will build a certain number of affordable units in a inclusionary market rate project. Because these property owners came forward, they were included in our plan. The alternative would have been not to have enough units and to have been sued by these property owners to build a project with that number of units. The approved plan was filed with the court, and under the timeframes in the program, Teaneck received challenges from Fair Share Housing and from the property owner defendant interveners who sought assurances that the projects they proposed not only are included in the plan, but that Teaneck would actually adopt zoning and or a redevelopment plan to bring the project to fruition. Fair Share also intervened, again, to ensure that Teaneck was going to comply with the approved plan. And compliance means generally adopting zoning. Since those challenges were filed at the end of August, Teaneck has participated in what the fourth round calls, quote, the program. The program is a mediation process that is administered by a retired Superior Court judge. The judge assigned to Teaneck was Judge Ronnie Bookbinder, and Judge Bookbinder is assisted by what the program calls a special adjudicator. Special adjudicator is a planner by trade and expertise who is essentially the judge's expert, and to give substantive and subject matter expertise and opinions to the judge where planning issues are in dispute or are debatable. The special adjudicator assigned to Teaneck is a planner named Nick Graviano. For the past few months, we have been in mediation sessions with Judge Bookbinder, with special adjudicator Graviano, with our planner, with Fair Share Housing, and counsel for the intervener property owner defendants. And the sole issue here is, can we find a settlement where Teaneck agrees to effectuate the zoning in its approved plan to satisfy its fourth round obligation? The program is extinguished under the statute as of December 31st. Judge Bookbinder, with the assistance of Mr. Graviano, has to make a recommendation to the Mount Laurel judge in Bergen County as to whether or not Teaneck has complied or not. If we comply, we have a certificate of compliance, and immunity from builder's remedy lawsuits is extended through the fourth round. If we don't, the recommendation will be that Teaneck lose immunity. And as of January 1st, if we lose immunity, we can expect lawsuits from builders. Again, lawsuits would mean that these same property owners would essentially receive the same zoning, but we would have to pay for their costs and fees, and we'd have limited control over what the zoning of those projects would look like. So after negotiating multiple rounds and going back and forth with both Fair Share and the property owner intervener defendants, on the agenda are 3 settlement agreements that, if approved, will allow Judge Bookbinder to file a report with the Superior Court that we have complied, that Teaneck has complied with its fourth round obligations, and to issue the certificate of compliance. If we don't adopt these agreements, and we have to report to Judge Bookbinder tomorrow morning at 8:30 for our final program session, there is a substantial risk that we will not receive a certificate of compliance, and we will lose immunity from builder's remedy lawsuits.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. Mr. Ash, that was your report, correct? I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yes.
Okay, I believe, and maybe Mr. Solomon, if you can let us know, there's certain things on the agenda that we could table and certain things that we can't table. And I believe, if I'm wrong, the things we cannot table, the fair share, I believe there's really consensus town-wide on that and council-wide on it. And the items which may not have consensus, which may want more input, are okay to table. Can you just clarify that so the council could potentially move forward and let people celebrate their holiday?
Understood. So I think at this point, the most important part of what we move ahead on is, again, this is from the court's perspective, for the program's perspective, is the settlement agreement with Fair Share. I understand there are some issues with some of the details of the one with Crossroads and the resolution. I don't have the numbers in front of me. The resolution numbers in front of me. The 348/2025 is the resolution related to the settlement agreement with Fair Share. That's the most important one. 349/2025 is the one with Crossroads, and 350/2025 is the one with 143 State Street, Hill Street Realty, 54 West Englewood, and Vision 23. If we were moving it, I would say, ideally from a legal perspective, we move ahead on all of them. But it's the most important for the court and program is that we move ahead with the Fair Share one.
So can I ask a question?
Of course, yeah.
Scott, can I make a motion now to approve 348? Can we vote on that now?
Council can do whatever it wants on that.
So I'd like to, I'm still speaking. I'd like to make a motion to move 348 so that we're not, we're approving our deal with Fair Share without discussing any of the particular developments in Teaneck. before good and welfare. But I'd like to take care of this before the mayor gets on a plane.
I'll second that motion. And again, this is just for the fair share settlement and nothing to relate to the specific other developments.
Can we go in order? It'd just be easier if we go 347,
I think-
348.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's go in order because
That-
there's only, yeah.
That wasn't my motion, and 347 has nothing to do with the lawsuit or the deadline. 347 was thrown in there without being council listed, without being discussed with 3 members of council. It was only discussed with 4, and that's why it's in there. But 348 is the meat and potatoes of this, and I would love it if, as a council, we could approve that.
Point of information,
Yes.
Scott, doesn't 347 impact 348?
I can answer. It does not.
It does not?
No.
Not from the courts, or from the program's perspective, from, whether up to you guys, or whether or not it affects your decisions on that, that's up to you, but not from a legal, like from a court's perspective.
Okay, although it doesn't impact from one doesn't seem that it goes with the other. I would recommend that we would amend Deputy Mayor's proposal to vote on 147 in conjunction with 347 in conjunction with 348. I think that it is important that we do the settlement, that we all, I think, are kind of wanting to do this because we're wanting to get this behind us. But 347 is a very important resolution that I would ask that we would amend the motion to include 347 be voted on first.
Second.
Can I just be clear on what the 347 is? Because Scott, I can't vote on 51 West Englewood because it's too close to one of my properties.
You're recused on 347. So there was a motion. It was amended and it was second on the amendment. So I believe, Scott, we're voting on 347 and 348 right now. Is that correct, Scott?
Well, there was the motion to amend, and that was seconded, but then we need a motion. We need a vote on that motion to amend first.
Can I just make a comment? I think that we should have good and welfare first. I think that we're voting on things, which I don't have a problem voting on them together, but I think procedurally and just transparently, we should have good and welfare first. Let the residents speak if they have anything to say.
I think transparency sailed a long time ago when we never saw this 347.
Right.
But
Thanks.
Mr.
A lot,
Salmon,
Denise.
yeah, Mr. Salmon, what do we what is your recommendation, please? If there's a motion, there's already amended motion, I believe you have to have a roll call on that, please.
There's because there's a motion to amend the motion. We need to vote on the motion
Excellent.
to amend first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Please call the roll to vote on 347 and 348.
Yes, again, this is just on making sure I'm unmuted. This is just on the amendment
Right.
of the motion. Councilwoman Goldberg.
This is the amendment to vote on it before good and welfare?
Yes.
Well,
Right.
it's the amendment to include 340 to vote on 347 now as well.
But
as
now
348.
versus after good and welfare. So make sure I'm
Correct.
voting
Yes.
before good and welfare. No, I want to do good and welfare.
That's not the motion. That's not the vote. The vote is to include them both. My amendment has nothing to do with good and welfare. It has to do with 347 and 348 being voted together.
Yeah.
And the
No.
vote was called now, correct?
You're
Wait, so-
amending.
yeah.
You're amending my motion, which is to vote on it now. So it is to vote now. You're just voting on both now before good and welfare, instead of voting on the settlement, getting it out of the way before the mayor gets on a plane, and then you can talk about the rest of it after good and welfare.
So wait, let me just jump in a second, because I know this is getting confusing. So the vote, if this vote passes, it would be then you will need a vote on the substance of 347 and 348. This is just about to decide if you are only looking at 348 now, or if you're looking at 347 and 348 now. Does that make sense?
But before good and welfare is my question. That's my concern. I'm
Yeah.
good and welfare.
Yes, that is the motion, Councilwoman Goldberg, correct.
Okay, so I want to have good and welfare.
So yeah, your vote is no. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll call? Councilwoman Goldberg is a no to vote on it now.
Councilman Pagan.
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
I just want to be clear, because it's a double motion, and I'm not abstaining on 347, how do I do this, Scott?
You can vote on whether or not it's going to be heard now, but if you're abstaining, you can't vote on the next vote, which would be on the substance of that one.
Okay, I'm okay voting for now. We're not on the
thank
substance.
you. Councilman Katz, Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, so now it's a roll call by the clerk on 347 and 348.
Well, no, I think it's, I don't know, you don't need to do them as one vote for the two of them. You just need you're just going to have votes on 347 and 348.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Clerk, please call the vote for 347 and 348. Those are being voted on now, and Councilman Katz is not voting on 340, is recused on 347.
Thank you, Mayor. So first up is 347. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I second.
That was a first from Councilwoman Goldberg and a second from Deputy Mayor Belcher for resolution 347. Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes to 347.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
No, he's not voting.
Sorry about that.
Abstaining on that, yep.
My fault. Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
No, because this was never discussed publicly under good and welfare or in closed session. This was thrown on and is a surprise.
That's a no.
Mayor Schwartz.
No. 347 passes. Call the roll, please, on 348.
Is there a motion on 348?
Motion Schwartz on 348.
Thank you,
Second.
sir.
Second,
That
Deputy
was
Mayor
Deputy Mayor
Organ.
Organ. Thank you. Councilman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
No.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz.
Yeah, just
348.
confirm, yeah, Scott, just confirm I can vote on this one.
This one, yes, yeah. Well, you
Okay.
tell me if you think you have a conflict, but you haven't mentioned one
I mean-
yet on this one.
Only the conflict of 51 West Englewood.
Yeah, then you're fine on this one.
Okay, so it's yes.
Councilman Katz, yes. Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, that 348 passes, and I believe we have a settlement with fair share, Mr. Asalma. Is that correct?
Say again?
We have a fair share settlement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. How would you like the rest of the meeting to go, Mr. Salmon, so we comply? Where are the next steps, please?
I think at this point, I would suggest we move to, unless anyone else has any comments, we move to good and welfare, and then you can vote on the rest of the remaining two resolutions.
Excellent. I'm just going to turn the meeting over now to Deputy Mayor to run it, please.
Doug, you got this?
Yes, good and welfare is indeed open. Everyone has 3 minutes. I see a couple hands here. Bringing in Gail. Hello, Gail. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, hi, I'm Gail, Teaneck resident. I've been trying to follow this whole thing about the affordable housing, and it's very complicated. But I have to say that I think we're losing sight of the issue of whether housing is going to be affordable. Now, I think none of what I've heard is whether or not we are making units affordable. Now, what are we talking about? It's so frustrating because I don't think the intent of the state legislation is being honored. And I think it's being twisted by all the interests, the housing development interests, the profit-making interests are being involved in this, and we're getting away from affordability. I don't think any of this really deals with affordability. And it's just like caught up in all this verbiage, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I think we need to step back and say, wait a minute, are we really trying to make housing in Teaneck affordable? From what I've been listening to, no, it's not whether we want affording to be housing to be affordable. It's about how can developers make the most money, and how citizens are not going to be able to afford the affordability housing. So that's what I feel, and I really, really am frustrated by all this discussion.
Are you finished, Miss Gale?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much, Miss. We have a couple other hands here, Deputy Mayor Organ. I am bringing in Paula Rogovin.
Hi. It's a shame that you're putting good and welfare after your vote. Yeah, it's a real shame. When I heard the report from Crossroads a few weeks ago, the engineer spoke about some proposal to send floodwaters from north of Cedar Lane, under Cedar Lane, down, bending here and there, down American Legion Drive, and then perpendicular at Kip into turning the corner at Kip, and then dumping the floodwaters into the rail. They said the Conrail tracks. Now, when I heard the word Conrail from that engineer, I was rather surprised because it hasn't been Conrail since 1999. It is CSX line in that area. Well, whichever it is, I have spoken to people in CSX, and they are furious about this proposal to dump floodwaters into the rail track areas. It's it will destroy the tracks. It will destroy the trains. The other thing is, there's a state law that requires approval for any kind of flood a plan to deal with flooding that has to be approved by this New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. And because the pipes would go under Cedar Lane, which is a county road, there will have to be approval for any pipe going under Cedar Lane. So we're talking about years and years of dealing with the flood plan, getting any flood plan approved. And you know that CSX will not. I mean, I talked to them today when the law was just passed to the hazardous materials safety law was finally passed today. And I was in talks with CSX while I was in Trenton. And they don't want this. They don't want it at all. They're furious. You will be hearing from them. And I know that the people in our community down in Kip Street area already get flooded. They're at the bottom of a hill. You may not all know that, but they're at the bottom of the hill. They get flooded. And this would make it even worse during a major storm. So many of us, not only in the Southwest of Teaneck near Crossroads development, are opposed to this plan, but people throughout Teaneck are opposed to this plan. And I hope that you will think again about this. I'm done.
Thank you, Miss Paula. I'm bringing in Melanie. You are free to unmute, Melanie. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I am a Teaneck resident, and I was rather wondering if you could provide the actual addresses of the lots that you were talking about, because I don't have a clue as to where that would be. So it's a very simple question, and I hope you can provide it.
Is that all, Miss Melanie?
That's it.
Thank you, Miss. Bringing in Susan.
Hi, my name is Susan Mayer. I live on I live oh I live on Bell Avenue, and I am speaking on behalf of the Northwest of Cedar Lane Neighborhood Association leadership team. We request clarification of the following aspects of the proposed Beverly American Legion Drive settlement agreement. We ask the council to clarify which of the following concerns are fixed in tonight's settlement agreement versus which can still be addressed during implementation. The first thing is Bell Avenue flooding remediation requirements as they relate to the Beverly Road parking lot development. The second, setback distances from single-family homes and alignment with previously stated distance requirements. Third, adequate space and location for the farmers market. 4, traffic mitigation at the Cedar Lane Garrison intersection, particularly regarding the garage entrance exit. 5, impact on future Cedar Lane Business District development opportunities between Garrison and Windsor. And finally, overall alignment with the goals and remedies in the master plan. We fully support Teaneck's affordable housing commitment and want to ensure that that commitment is met with thoughtful planning that addresses residential growth, business development, infrastructure concerns, and preservation of community character.
Are you done, Susan?
I am done. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I have a Vicky Costa. Vicky, you are free to unmute. You have 3 minutes. Vicky, you are free to unmute. You have 3 minutes, Vicky. Are you with us, Vicky? Vicky might be having some technical difficulties. One more shot. Vicky, are you with us? You have 3 minutes. You're free to unmute. You're free to unmute, Vicky.
Doug, let's move on.
Sorry, Vicky. Feel free to email council.
Anyone else?
I see only 2 hands here, but I believe that they are individuals who already spoke. We get 1 shot during good and welfare, my friends.
So with that, good and welfare is closed.
I have 1 hand here. It's Mr. Chuck Powers. Bringing him in.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
No problem. 3 minutes.
I believe this entire enterprise is in violation of the rules which would establish a basis. We have no idea who called this special meeting. There's no, and the only newspaper account of it appeared not 48 hours before this meeting, but in the in the record yesterday. I believe there's some clarification about who it is that our attorneys are the attorneys for. I believe it is for the majority of the council and not any individual person. We have no idea who it was that created or authorized the inclusion on this agenda, this probably illegitimate agenda, of either the Crossroads with its unbelievable new version of the redevelopment plan that basically throws away much of what it was that Crossroads claimed it was going to be doing. I'm also very interested to know who believes that they are legitimate voters on the Crossroads matter tonight, since two members of our council, our mayor and our deputy mayor Organ, have received $2,500 from them, and any vote for the agenda item, I assume, that will come before this council would in fact suggest that the town is agreeing and so to a process for deciding pilots which clearly are inconsistent with what it was that the Crossroads said they were going to be asking for. But more important than that, they would be participating in a vote for a contributor who had contributed far in excess of the reportable amount of money allowable when they accepted a contribution last October in last October's election. I hope people are very clear that putting the town in jeopardy of litigation with people voting when they are not allowed to is something that this township cannot afford in this crazy process in which it is engaged tonight. Please table these two additional amendments. Let's get on with the task of trying to figure out what the hell is going on with affordable housing in the context of what it is that the planning board and the township council have a right to determine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Deputy Mayor, I see no other hands.
Okay, so with that, we can close good and welfare.
Yes.
Let's have everybody who wants to speak in the order which we do in chambers. So Councilwoman Goldberg? No. Councilman Pagan? No. Councilwoman G?
Yeah, just really quickly, I want to share with the public that this timeline is not normal. We are moving way faster than we typically would want to, due to the deadline that we're quickly approaching with fair share and the deadline given to us by the judge. So I just want you all to know that this is not by choice. We do not like moving at this pace. And I just want to be clear that we are being pushed by this deadline that we have no control over. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Katz?
Curious question.
No? Deputy Mayor Deputy Mayor
Yeah,
Belcher?
I just wanted to let the public know, residents know that we are under a tremendous amount of things that we have to consider when it comes to making sure that we protect our township from litigation, as well as to stand up to our obligation for affordable housing. And we are making every concerted effort to ensure that we get it right. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Mayor Schwartz? No. Okay, so with that, let's close good and welfare for us and move on. Resolutions 349 and 350, I'd like to make a motion to table both.
Second.
Comments? Doug?
That was a motion to table, correct?
They're 349 and 350.
And that was a second from Councilwoman Goldberg. Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
was that a yes? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes, but I'm abstaining on 350.
Deputy Mayor Belcher. Deputy Mayor Belcher.
Denise?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me
I
now?
can hear you.
Okay, yes, that was a yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
all
And
tabled. Do you have a
thank
date,
you.
Deputy Mayor?
We're gonna have to look at the resolutions again, so they may have different language. So we'll see what the attorneys come up with for January. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry, just before we have the motion adjourn,
Yeah.
I have to say that the members of the council, have some strong feelings about this. If any of you have specific comments, we have to ask that you guys pass along as soon as possible. Just because the holidays, the sooner we get them, any specific comments, but we'd appreciate it.
And just a thank you to Scott and really to Mike and Golda for all the work that you've done for us to try to keep us on track with this. I know it's a little bit like herding cats, and so we appreciate you a lot. And happy holidays to everyone. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good
Happy
night, all.
holidays, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks
Good
for your
holiday,
time.
everyone.
Bye now.